Ladies and gentlemen, we have taken the lead of our NFC North sub battle. First off, thank you so much to all of you. Second off, it's not over. We're only up 8 on Bears now, and we got to put the pedal to the metal. Let's put the nail in the coffin. I need to see how many subs we can get off this video. So that way we can just end this thing right here, right now. So if you haven't already, help us win our sub battle and lock us in for the best Packers coverage right here on YouTube by hitting that sub button. On today's show, we are giving you a brand new update on the Cooper Kupp rumors and the possibility of him landing with the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Schultz was the one who tweeted this out just a couple hours ago on social media, and it says as follows. Sources, the sense around the league is that former Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp doesn't plan on having a long, drawn-out process and prefers to make a decision quickly. Kupp has interest from at least 5 teams, and the expectation is that he'll decide sooner rather than later. It's unclear if he'll take any free agent visits. So my kind of understanding from that is this isn't going to be an Aaron Rodgers type situation where everybody's kind of sitting on pins and needles and waiting to see what he's going to say, waiting to hear his announcement, waiting to see where he's going to go. Instead, with Cooper Kupp, this seems like one of those situations that could be decided by the end of the week. Now, why is that good news for Packers fans? Well, we talked about it yesterday. Ari Meirov tweeted this out, saying the Rams are officially releasing Cooper Kupp, right? So Rams aren't going to try to trade him anymore. They know they don't have enough suitors, so they just said, you know what, we'll save our money. We'll cut ties with you. He quickly followed that up 6 minutes later by saying the Packers are among several teams who have been eyeing Cooper Kupp, waiting for him to be released. Unfortunately, Underdog NFL hit us with an update today saying that Seahawks, Broncos, Patriots, among others, hopefully that means the Green Bay Packers, bear watching for Cooper Kupp, okay? In my opinion, it's one of the 4 of these, okay? I know that last tweet didn't say Green Bay, but I think Ari Meirov just yesterday naming Green Bay specifically and alone should be enough to should be enough to, make us think and feel good about them being possibly in the mix for Cooper Kupp. But I don't think anybody really else is outside the Seahawks, Packers, Patriots, and Broncos. I think it's those 4, and it's up to Kupp to decide where he would like to go. So if I gave you those 4, if I gave you Seattle, Denver, Green Bay, Patriots, who is he going to? Who lands Kupp? Let me know in the comment section down below by giving me an SEA, a DEN, a GB, or an NE. If I had to pick out of those 4 who he won't go to, I think Denver and New England are those 2 places that I'm not too worried about stealing Kupp out from under the Green Bay Packers, okay? There's multiple reasons why not either. Let's talk about them. Number 1, they both have very young quarterbacks. About as young as you can be, okay? Bo Nix had a pretty good rookie season, not bad at all. Drake May had a fine rookie season, not bad at all, right? I'm not saying they're going to be bad quarterbacks, but I just don't know if Cooper Kupp at age 32, getting back into, the swing of things with a new team, is going to want to go to a place that has a second-year quarterback, okay? Number 2, neither of those teams are championship contenders, okay? New England is they're picking 4th in the draft this upcoming year. Did Denver end up making the playoffs, Tex? Denver made the playoffs but got smoked by the Buffalo Bills. I don't think either of those teams are a threat to win a Super Bowl in the next 3 or 4 years, and I think that's what Kupp is looking to do because he's already been a Super Bowl champion. He's been to the mountaintop. He knows what it feels like. He knows what it tastes like. He knows what it's like to be a Super Bowl MVP. I promise you he's going to want that again. And then also on those other teams, there's just not a lot of wide receiver depth, okay? They have fine wide receivers. I wouldn't even go as far as saying that even. And I know we've talked a lot about this wide receiver core, okay? And Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, when he eventually gets back in the lineup. We know that neither of those guys, any of those guys are wide receiver 1s, but I still feel confident in each one of those abilities, Jaden Reed, Doubs, and Watson, to be wide receiver 2s. So I believe Green Bay has much more depth than either of those 2 teams. And I still think that Kupp would fit perfectly, okay? I accidentally put a question mark in that lower third right there. It's not a question mark, it's a statement because I truly believe it. There's no question in my mind about it that Cooper Kupp would and could just fit right in with the Green Bay Packers, okay? I think he brings veteran leadership to a very young group. Okay, he knows the highs and the lows, the lowest of lows and the highest of highs of being a wide receiver in the National Football League. He's done it before, okay? And in this offense, he wouldn't have to be the guy because the guy, as long as you got Josh Jacobs on this team, I think is always going to be Josh Jacobs with how often this team runs the football and how they've made that their identity. So I think Kupp would come in year one, make a big difference, and I don't think it would take long for him to feel like he's a part of this unit, okay? What say you? Let me know in the comment section. Would you sign Cooper Kupp? Be goody for me for just a second. Put on your thinking hat and let me know in the comment section down below by giving me a yes or no if you would sign Cooper Kupp. So who's available other than Kupp? Let's talk about it. You got Amari Cooper at the age of 30. Stephon Diggs at the age of 31 coming off a torn ACL. You got Mike Williams at 30. Elijah Moore at 24. Keenan Allen at 32. You got Kupp, of course, at 31. Brandon Cooks at 31. Lockett at 32, Robert Woods at 32, and Juju Smith-Schuster, the TikTok king, at the ripe age of 28. If you're not going to go Cooper Kupp, I wouldn't mind adding a wide receiver. Now, I wouldn't expect any of these guys to step up and make that massive jump in their careers and be wide receiver ones for this team. So I don't think this would be my last wide receiver addition at all. But if you're not going to add Cooper Kupp, I wouldn't mind adding Elijah Moore. He's really young. Brandon Cooks has had a couple of pretty good years in Dallas. He's a speedy, the thing about Brandon Cooks is I think he's very similar to Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs. Robert Woods and Tyler Lockett would both be options as well. I think Tyler Lockett might be my favorite out of all those just because of how steady and consistent he is. He doesn't miss games. He doesn't drop balls. He plays 17 games a season. He gets you almost 1,000 yards every season. I'm not saying it's going to be that same production, but I think he'd just be a very consistent and steady presence in this wide receiver room. But if you don't add in free agency, of course you can always add in the draft. And here's Mel Kiper Jr.'s wide receiver draft rankings. He has Travis Hunter at number 1, Tedoroa McMillan at number 2, Luther Bird at number 3. You see Matthew Gold at number 5 there. I would not be surprised if he jumps up to number 4 after his combine. Let's talk about 6 through 10, though, because a lot of these guys are guys you can get late second round, maybe even early in the third round. From Kyle Williams all the way to Trey Harris, Savion Williams included in there. I think a lot of those guys would be really, really good options. But I want to talk real quick about Luther Bird. Because in my most recent Green Bay Packers mock draft, Luther Burden actually fell to number 23. I don't think there's a ton of wide receivers in this draft outside of the top 3 in Tedoroa McMillan, Luther Burden, Travis Hunter that can truly be wide receiver ones in year 1. I think Tedoroa McMillan, I think Travis Hunter, both of those guys will be gone by 23. I think there's a small chance that Luther Burden could still be there. I wouldn't bet on it, but if he is there, and hell, even if he falls to 18, I'd be very, very, very interested in possibly trading up to get him. I think he's going to be a star, and if you don't land Cooper Kupp, I think you have to make a move in the first round of the draft to get a wide receiver that you can feel real confident in being a wide receiver 1 for this team. So let me know in the comment section down below, before we just give you the quick little rundown on free agency, let me know, how does Green Bay add a wide receiver? Will they do it in the next week or so in free agency, or will they add in the draft? Let me know in the comment section down below by typing D or typing FA. Alrighty, before we get out of here, let's do the quick little rundown on the Packers free agency, who they've added, who they've lost. Let's start with the adds because it hasn't changed, ladies and gentlemen, since Monday. Isaiah McDuffie, Brandon McManus, both of those deals were done last week. Aaron Banks, Nate Hobbs, both of those deals were done on Monday. Aaron Banks, of course, offensive guard. Nate Hobbs, more of a slot cornerback, but kind of can play all around the defense. Think Aaron Banks was a little bit of an overpay. Excited for how Jeff Hafley uses Hobbs. Let's talk about exits because we had a recent one yesterday and this morning. I think Josh Myers is this morning. TJ Slayton, Eric Stokes, those guys have been gone for a couple of days now. But A.J. Dillon yesterday, the quad father, joining Quadzilla and Saquon Barkley, signing with the Philadelphia Eagles. Josh Myers is the new center for the New York Jets. Say goodbye to those four. Myers, he's a guy who started 56 games for Green Bay. I know nobody was ever really, really happy with his production and really, really happy with his play, but still, he's a really consistent starter at a really important position. But now we all know we think Elgin Jenkins is going to make the move to center. Make sure, you guys, before you get out of here, if you haven't already, hit that sub button. We're at the lead for our NFC North sub battle. I want to keep it that way. I have to keep it that way. And in order for it to stay that way, you guys need to help me out by hitting that sub button. We'll see you next.